In 2014, Germany didn't just win the World Cup. They humiliated Brazil 7-1 on Brazilian soil in front of 75,000 crying fans. It was the most one-sided, dominant performance in World Cup history by a team that looked completely untouchable. Then something happened. And in the 11 years since that trophy, Germany has been eliminated early, embarrassed repeatedly on the world stage, and now knocked out by Paraguay in 2026. Paraguay, a country with a population smaller than New York City. A country that has never won a single World Cup in its entire history. So what went wrong? How does the greatest team on the planet in 2014 turn into this? How does a nation with one of the most sophisticated football systems ever built, academies, coaching licenses, youth development programs that other countries literally copy, end up losing to Paraguay? And why are thousands of German fans blaming one retired player for all of it? By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how Germany fell apart, the real reasons, the football reasons, and the reason that involves a curse that some fans are absolutely convinced is real. Let's go back to 2014 first, because you need to understand how good Germany actually was to understand how shocking the fall has been. Germany that year was a machine, a perfectly built, perfectly functioning football machine. Every single player knew their exact role. They pressed hard, and pressing in football means your whole team chases the opponent aggressively to win the ball back quickly, like a full-court press in basketball, but across a massive pitch. They were organized, they were clinical, they scored goals when it mattered, and in the semifinal, they put 7 goals past Brazil, the host nation, the favorites, in their own stadium, in one of the most surreal sporting events of the last 30 years. Mario Götze scored the winning goal against Argentina in the final. Extra time, one touch, perfect finish. Germany lifted the World Cup trophy and looked like they'd be dominant for the next decade. Nobody could have predicted what was coming next. Nobody. 2018 Russia. The defending champions land as one of the tournament favorites. In football, the group stage is where all the teams are split into groups of 4 countries, and you play 3 games to try and qualify for the knockout rounds, the stage where one loss and your World Cup is over. Germany lose to Mexico in their first game. Okay, upsets happen. Every team loses sometimes. Then they beat Sweden. Relief. Then they lose to South Korea. South Korea, a team that had already been eliminated and was literally playing for nothing. Zero stakes. And they beat the World Cup champions. Germany, the reigning world champions, finished dead last in their group and flew home before the tournament was halfway done. Let that sink in for a second. Imagine the reigning Super Bowl champions getting cut in the first week of the following season, before the playoffs, before anything meaningful. Just gone. That's the scale of embarrassment Germany experienced in 2018. The entire country went into shock. Crisis meetings, emergency press conferences, the manager getting grilled on live television. And yet, Joachim Löw, the manager, kept his job. That surprised almost everyone. But the real conversation happening behind the scenes was darker than just one bad tournament. The squad was aging. The players who had won in 2014 were now for years older, slower, and in some cases clearly past their best. Thomas Muller, a forward who had been brilliant in 2014, was struggling. Others were the same. The young talent coming through wasn't ready yet. And the system, the famous German system of pressing and organized defending, hadn't been refreshed. It was the same ideas, the same structure, but with slower legs trying to execute it. A sports car with a worn-out engine still looks fast, but the moment it hits the track, you find out the truth. But here's where the story takes a turn that nobody expected. Because right around this time, a controversy exploded that went far beyond football. Mesut Özil. Özil was Germany's most creative and technically gifted player. In football, a creative midfielder, sometimes called a number 10, is like a point guard in basketball. They control the tempo. They find gaps in the opponent's defense that nobody else can see. They make the final pass that leads to goals. Özil was genuinely world-class at this. He had football intelligence that most players spend their whole career trying to develop and never get there. But before the 2018 World Cup, Özil took a photo with the Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Özil was born in Germany, but has Turkish heritage. His grandparents immigrated from Turkey. The photo caused an immediate storm. Politicians commented. Media piled on. Fans called him a traitor. The German Football Federation, the official organization that runs German football, released statements that many people felt were targeted and unfair toward Özil specifically. When Germany crashed out of the group stage, Özil became the easy scapegoat, the face people put on the failure. And shortly after the tournament, he announced his retirement from the German national team at just 29 years old, still in his prime, still capable of playing at the highest level for several several more years. His retirement statement was remarkable. He wrote that he felt like he was German when Germany won, but an immigrant when they lost, that the federation had failed to protect him, that he no longer wanted to play in an environment where he felt unwanted. A World Cup winner, gone at 29, because of a photo. And here's where the superstition kicks in. And honestly, the timing makes it hard to completely laugh off. Fans started noticing a pattern. Every major tournament after Özil left, Germany collapsed. Not gradually, not in close finals. They collapsed early, against teams they should handle, in ways that defied all logic given Germany's resources, history, and talent pool. The Özil curse was born online. The idea that forcing out one of your most gifted players, a player who helped win the 2014 World Cup, in such a public, painful, disrespectful way brought something dark to the German national team. Call it bad energy, call it karma, call it whatever you want. The results kept feeding it. 2020 the Euros. That's the European Championship, basically a World Cup, but only for European nations, held every 4 years. Germany get knocked out in the round of 16. First knockout round. Out early. Özil curse trending. 2022 Qatar. Germany placed in a group with Japan, Spain, and Costa Rica. They lose to Japan in one of the biggest upsets of the entire tournament. A Japanese side that most experts had written off completely. Germany then beat Costa Rica, but it wasn't enough to qualify. Out in the group stage. Again, 2 consecutive World Cups without making it past the opening round. The defending champions of 2014 out before the real tournament even started. Twice. Social media goes into meltdown each time. The same videos of Özil's retirement statement. The same side-by-side comparison of his exit and Germany's scorelines. The same question repeated thousands of times. Is this the curse? Then 2024. Germany hosts the Euros on home soil. Their own stadiums. Their own fans. Perfect redemption story setup. They play their best football in years. The atmosphere is electric. The whole country is buzzing. In the quarterfinals, Spain knocked them out. Heartbreaking. So close, but still no trophy. And then 2026 arrived with real hope. The World Cup this time expanded to 48 teams, up from 32. More countries, more games, more chances for upsets, but also more chances for big nations to find form and momentum. Germany came in with a genuinely exciting squad. Julian Nagelsmann, young, tactically sharp, one of the most respected coaches in European football, was in charge. Jamal Musiala, one of the most naturally gifted young players in world football, was healthy and in form. Florian Wirtz, another extraordinary talent, was pulling strings in midfield. There was real belief, real excitement. German fans actually thought this was the year. Then Paraguay happened. Let's be clear about what Paraguay is in football terms. A decent South American nation with passionate fans and hardworking players. But they are not a powerhouse. They have never won a World Cup. They have never even come close. On paper, Germany should win that game comfortably 9 times out of 10. Paraguay won. Germany were eliminated. Again, early. Again, the internet collapsed. The Özil curse didn't just trend. It dominated football conversation globally for days. Memes, videos, arguments, debates. People who had never believed in superstitions started hedging their bets. Even some German journalists started asking, what exactly is going on here? Now let's take the superstition completely off the table and look at this purely through a football lens. Because there are real, concrete, explainable reasons why Germany keeps failing. Reason 1, the identity crisis. The 2014 Germany team had a style so clear and defined you could describe it in 10 seconds. High press, quick passing, clinical finishing, organized defensive shape. Every player knew their role. Every player trusted the system. That clarity is what wins tournaments. Today's Germany switches systems, rotates personnel, experiments with formations. There's no single clear identity. And teams without identity don't win when the pressure is highest. Because pressure requires certainty, and certainty requires knowing exactly who you are. Reason 2, mental block. There's a psychological phenomenon in sport where past failures start to live inside a team's head. Germany's players aren't robots. They know the history. They know about 2018, 2022, the Euros exits. And that knowledge creates invisible pressure. Instead of playing free and aggressive like the 2014 team did, recent Germany teams play tight. Careful, scared of making the mistake that sends them home. And that fear, that tightness, it physically changes how players move, how they take risks, how they perform in big moments. Reason 3, the transition gap. Germany's famous youth academy system, the network of clubs and coaching programs that develops young talent, produced a golden generation in the early 2010s. Those players peaked together in 2014. After them, there was a gap. Not enough elite players coming through at the same time. The next wave, Musiala, Wirtz, and others, are genuinely brilliant. But they arrived just as the old generation was fading, and there wasn't enough overlap time to build the same team chemistry. Chemistry in football is underrated. It's not just about having good players. It's about players who trust each other, understand each other's movements, and have been through tough moments together. The 2014 Germany had that, built over years. The current squad is still building it. And then there's the Özil factor, not the curse version, the real version. Losing a world-class creative midfielder at 29 because of a political controversy left a hole in Germany's attack that they have genuinely struggled to fill. Özil's ability to unlock defenses with one pass, to slow the game down and then suddenly accelerate it, to find teammates in positions they didn't even know they should be in, that's rare. Rarer than people realized at the time. So here's where Germany stands right now. 4 World Cup trophies in history. One of the most respected football infrastructures on earth. Genuinely talented young players in the current squad. And yet, a decade of early exits, painful defeats, and a fan base that is running out of patience. From the 7-1 masterpiece to the Paraguay disaster. From world champions to early exits. From untouchable to unpredictable. Football doesn't care about your trophies. It doesn't care about your history or your reputation or how good your academies are. Every tournament, every single time, you have to prove it all over again. Germany hasn't been able to prove it. Not since 2014. Maybe the rebuild needs more time. Maybe Nagelsmann needs another cycle. Maybe Musiala and Wirtz just need to grow into the leaders this team needs. Or maybe, just maybe, you don't disrespect your World Cup winners and expect nothing to happen. The curse isn't real, but the consequences of bad decisions are very, very real. If this video helped football make sense in a way it never did before, subscribe. Every week we break down the biggest stories in the sport as simply as possible. No experience needed, no jargon, just real stories told straight.